On November 13, 2024, just over a week after being confirmed the winner over incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris, President-elect Donald Trump announced one of the most important picks for his new cabinet, Secretary of Defense. The nominee is Pet H., described as someone who's devoted his entire life to serving in the military and his country. He's portrayed as smart, tough, and fully committed to the motto, America First. President Trump declared, "Under Pet's leadership, America's enemies must understand that our military will be great again, and the United States will never back down." Even though Trump spoke about him in glowing terms, it was still a shock to many Americans that a Fox News host would be heading the Pentagon. So, who exactly is Pet H., and why did President Trump choose this 44-year-old for such a top position? First, let's take a quick look at his background as the nominee for Secretary of Defense. Pet H. was born on June 6, 1980, in Minneapolis, which is the capital of Minnesota, a Midwestern state known for leaning Democratic. He graduated at the top of his class from Forest Lake High School in 1999, then got into Princeton, an Ivy League school, meaning it's one of 8 top universities in the United States. While at Princeton, besides majoring in political science, he played on the basketball team and wrote for a conservative magazine run by students. His strong academic track record became even more impressive when Pet H. went on to earn a master's degree in public policy from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard, often called a breeding ground for elite leaders in the U.S. and worldwide. Although he's widely known as a Fox News host, Pet H.'s educational achievements are nothing to scoff at, and he's clearly a bright 44-year-old. On top of that, he's built a relatively successful career so far. After graduating college in 2003, Pet H. joined Bear Stearns, one of the world's top investment banks, as a market equity analyst. Meanwhile, he also signed up to be an infantry officer in the Minnesota National Guard back in his home state. In 2004, Pet H.'s unit was sent to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. There, he served as an infantry platoon leader in the 3rd Battalion, 187th Infantry Regiment, part of the 101st Airborne Division. After returning from Cuba, the future Defense Secretary nominee volunteered for duty in Iraq, where he served as a platoon commander and later coordinated civil-military operations in Baghdad and Samarra. Pet H. also gained combat experience in Afghanistan in 2012 when he was deployed to Kabul as a senior instructor at a counterinsurgency training center, serving at the rank of captain. Back in the U.S. in 2014, Pet H. joined Fox News, but remained in the National Guard Reserves as a major. Around that same time, he became the executive director of Concerned Veterans for America, an organization that promotes hiring private health care providers for veterans, funded by conservative billionaires Charles and David Koch. Not only that, he published a book called The War Aimed at the Soldier: The Secret Betrayal by Those Who Claim to Guard Freedom. At Fox News, Pet H. stood out early on by publicly supporting Trump in the 2016 presidential race. His vocal backing, especially when many prominent Republicans were criticizing Trump, helped Pet H. catch Trump's eye. At one point, Trump even considered giving him the role of Secretary of Veterans Affairs in his first cabinet, though he eventually chose David Shulkin in 2017. Still, the two kept up a good relationship, and Pet H. is considered one of Trump's most dedicated defenders on national TV. Pet H.'s career at Fox News continued to rise, partly thanks to his close ties with the president. In December 2018, he was chosen to co-host the network's New Year's broadcast, during which he interviewed Trump live. That relationship also opened doors for Pet H. to speak up on certain political issues related to the Department of Defense, notably pushing for pardons for former First Lieutenant Clint Lawrence and former Major General Mark Gust, both accused of war crimes for killing Afghan civilians. He also helped Trump restore the rank of Navy SEAL Edward Gallagher, who had been investigated for involvement in killing a prisoner linked to the terrorist group ISIS. These lobbying efforts made Pet H. a favorite among some conservative figures in both the military and American politics, especially those who believe U.S. troops should be fully protected, even if their actions might be considered illegal. Meanwhile, his more extreme conservative views sparked criticism from moderates and progressives, which could stand in the way of him becoming the next Secretary of Defense at 44 years old. Even though he enjoys strong backing from President Trump, that doesn't mean Pet H will breeze through Congress without any issues. Besides the president's nomination, he still has to face a Senate vote. The moment his nomination is announced, the Senate starts a thorough background check. The Senate Armed Services Committee holds a hearing where members question Pet H about his main plans, policies, and any possible red flags. If he performs poorly, he risks losing support in the eyes of both the senators and TV-watching voters. If he makes it through the hearing, Pet H then faces the toughest hurdle, a vote from all 100 senators. How likely is he to succeed? At first, analysts were skeptical of Trump's decision. Who on earth is this guy? I expected someone with real defense experience, said an anonymous defense lobbyist to Politico. Many experts argue that Pet H lacks deep expertise in military or national security affairs, given he's never worked at the Pentagon or in any government agency. Democrats haven't been too thrilled either. Congressman Adam Smith from Washington sarcastically said, "Honestly, I had no idea who Pet H was until about 20 minutes ago. He doesn't seem to know much about Defense Department policy. Most of what he's done involves veterans policy, so the lack of broader experience is concerning." Over in New York, Representative G-Man said, "I'm shocked, honestly. And it's exactly what we were worried about when we warned people about Donald Trump. He nominates underqualified people who happen to be loyal." Still, there are folks who praise Trump's choice and have faith in the new defense secretary nominee, mostly Republicans. "President Trump is forming a strong cabinet. Pet H brings a lot to the table. He's got experience, and I think he'll be willing to reform what needs changing. I'm excited about this decision," said House Speaker Johnson. Meanwhile, Senator Todd from Indiana, who once criticized Trump, urged everyone to give Pet H a fair chance. "I don't know much about his work history or vision yet. I look forward to learning more. I want to give all of President-elect Trump's nominees a chance to show what they can do." Overall, Pet H faces plenty of pushback from Democrats and some in the Defense Department. But it seems that many Senate Republicans are lining up behind the Fox News host. Compared to another Trump nominee for Attorney General, someone named G, who's facing internal Republican opposition, Pet H appears to have a smoother path. Since the GOP holds 53 of the Senate's 100 seats, Pet H doesn't really need any Democratic support to become the new defense secretary. He could even lose 3 Republican votes and still win. If the final count is 50 to 50, the vice president casts the deciding vote. But that scenario is unlikely, given Trump's strong influence within the party. Any Republican senator who votes no would be seen as betraying Trump, who values loyalty above all else. Looking at past trends also gives Pet H some encouragement. Almost all cabinet nominees of incoming presidents get Senate approval. The only exception was back in 1989, when President George H.W. Bush nominated Senator John Tower for defense secretary, and he got rejected due to serious accusations of sexual misconduct and heavy drinking. That precedent might worry Pet H a bit. Right after his name was announced, some old sexual assault allegations popped up. Apparently, in October 2017, Pet H was investigated by Monterey County, California police for allegedly assaulting a woman while speaking at a Republican women's conference. However, the case never went beyond the allegation stage. He was never charged. Analysts say that unless new evidence shows up, it probably won't have much impact on his confirmation. Despite all the personal accusations and objections from certain military officials about his leadership background, Pet H still has President Trump's absolute trust. Early speculation suggested the president-elect might pick someone with significant influence in defense circles, like House Armed Services Committee Chairman John M. Rogers, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Senator T., or Congressman M.W. who was eventually picked as National Security Advisor. So why did Trump choose a Fox News host to run the Pentagon? First off, Pet H is exceptionally sharp. He studied at two of the best universities in the world, Princeton and Harvard. He's also served in the military for a good chunk of time and commanded troops in America's two major 21st century wars, Afghanistan and Iraq. So it wouldn't be fair to dismiss him as just a TV host. CNN sources say Pet H has also been an unofficial advisor to Trump for years, both while Trump was in office and afterward, suggesting Pet H has some political chops. Plus, he's known for communicating clearly and in a way everyday people understand, something President Trump values highly, because he cares a lot about getting his message out with his own personal style. One of Trump's main priorities is to overhaul government agencies, including the military and the Defense Department, to reduce bureaucracy, boost efficiency, and eliminate policies he thinks stand in the way of making America great again. One example is the DE program promoted under President Joe Biden. Trump opposes it because he believes the military should focus on combat readiness rather than social or political factors. The job of implementing Trump's agenda will call for a defense secretary who can do the work but still keep morale high. With his Fox News background, Pet H might be just the person to convince both the Pentagon and the public. Finally, there's the loyalty factor. According to insiders, Trump puts loyalty at the forefront when picking his people, to reduce internal power struggles and make it easier to reshape Washington, D.C. He has often said that in his first term, one of his biggest regrets was hiring the wrong people, who ended up opposing him. So this time around, he wants a loyal crew that can tear down old structures and set him apart from past administrations. Competence, public speaking skills, and most importantly, loyalty. That's likely what drove Trump to choose Fox News' Pet H as America's next Secretary of Defense. Whether this is a brilliant move or an impulsive gamble by the 47th President of the United States is something only time will tell.